Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of our first podcasts, and as I promised, I am trying to bring some insights from the industry, some interesting background stories that probably we don't see during the day. And today I have a call with my good friend and partner, Guido Zanon, who is the CTO of RENTLY, and he's the man behind the successful story and all the technology behind it. And we don't often see him on all the fairs and exhibitions, but he's the one that is actually doing all the works and the developments of the system itself. So I was really looking forward to find out actually some insights, because we don't see each other often as well. We live over the ocean from each other, so we, in best case scenario, meet once a year, I guess. And that's why it's actually interesting also for me to get some of the information behind the scenes that Guido will share with us, hopefully. And Guido, one of the first questions is in this, let's say, highly competitive technology environment, how does RENTLY utilize the foresights in the car rental industry to stay ahead of the competition? What are the key factors that you try to use when building up this technology?
Hey, Artur, thank you for having me, first of all. As you mentioned, we need to do this more often, have these talks. So really good questions. I think, and a hard one. You started with everything, man. So from, as you may know, in RENTLY, I think one of the key factors is that we came from the industry. It's not that we came from the software industry. We actually run a rental car business with Catriel, my co-founder, and I think that gives us like a really good sense of what's happening, what the owners of big and small rental car businesses want to have from the technology partner or from the tools that they use, what they want to see, or what are the really heavy problems they want to solve, right? So I think it's a mix, understanding and staying ahead of the competition. It's a mix between understanding really well the technology, where I think obviously technology is super hard. So we do a lot to get the best talent out there. We try to get ahead on the AI wave, because this is an industry with a lot of information. So it's a really good industry to apply everything that it's happening in the AI vertical. And the balance with understanding the business, just understanding what are the key factors for our customers that they need from the technology. And I think there's where you make the good decisions about, we are going with this feature. We are not paying attention to all the sound or the noise that is in the environment, and how we choose good features plus new technologies in order to stay ahead of the competition.
Yeah, because I mean, it's I think it's really impossible to develop all of the features at the same time, and that's why you have to probably prioritize something, and that's the hardest task. Because even when I talk to a lot of the partners and companies, each one has their own, let's say, development plans,
agenda, exactly.
And it's really hard to be universal from that point of view.
And not even if you have all the resources, right? It's a good approach to go with all, because what you decide today on the roadmap, maybe at the end of the year was a really bad decision, or hey, AI, now it's good enough. What you will have to reschedule everything you have in your roadmap. So again, it's this task, this heavy task that obviously you guys do a lot. Catriel does a lot on hearing the customer and trying to choose what is noise and what it's really something that will differentiate us.
Sure. And that's a good point as well. And that's why maybe I can retranslate the next question that is coming to my mind. You're talking a lot about these unforeseen changes and and let's say adjustments of roadmap. So can you maybe share some of the examples where Rently successfully implemented this change scenario and some of the unforeseen changes that actually helped maybe to develop, because we know each other for many years already and the system has literally changed many times, and it's not the same Rently that I have seen 5 years ago. And well, what are the key examples? Maybe, I don't know, the post-COVID time gave some boost, or what were the boosters for this change?
For sure, for sure. So the first one that comes to my mind is when we started with Brandly, and when we started having like our vision with Catriel, and in our heads we wanted to automate almost everything, right? And we were going through that path when we hit the wall against reality, I guess, against operators, against owners, against how the sales process works in small and big industry leaders. And we tried to push that to a limit, right? For at least for the first 3 years, we were like blindsided, or we were like focused on, no, we like pricing. Nobody needs to touch pricing. We will do it AI. We will do it automatically. You don't have to worry about it. Things like that, right? To automate too much and hit the wall against, yeah, the market is not ready, or it's just a business. You want to have some, not even some, you want to have a lot of space to decide in the counter or to decide in your web. So you don't actually want too much automation on, for example, pricing, right? Or when you have the customer in front of you, because you are willing to go, you are willing like to lower the price to not lose the customer if he's there, right? So things like that, I think we totally, I don't think that we totally screw it, but we went too down the rabbit hole of automation and automating things in the system that the market wasn't ready, or it was just a wrong vision, right? I mean, this connect me with Elon Musk in a sense that when he started the Tesla factory, like he automated everything and it was like a pain. Everything was not working. And so he had to like go back and, okay, we don't need so much automation. We just need the right balance between what should happen in the back end, right? That nobody knows what's happening, but it's working. But and let me do the thing. Let me put the price. Let me decide. I want to have that control.
But that's actually the good moment as well, because we at one of the last fairs where we had a lot of new rental technology coming in, including all these self-verification, AI damage detectors, scanners, self-service kiosks, and all the other, let's say, modern tools that are available now on the market. You still see that only, I would say, even less than 3% of the industry is actually ready to use it and are open for such innovations. In your opinion, what are the key factors that are holding, let's say, business owners from going into this part? And as you mentioned previously, I mean, what are the factors that are preventing them from using, for example, AI in pricing to completely trust the tools? Is it still certain mistrust? Or is it the factor that people are afraid of being replaced with the AI? Or what is it, in your opinion?
Oh, that's a head one. So I think it's a mix. I have my vision about the industry, right? Which is, and I put always the example of, I'm a really technology guy, right? But when I travel with my family, I don't want any like surprises. It's like I will rent on, I know where I gonna rent my car. I want to see it. I want to touch it. I want to make sure that like the baby seat is safe because my baby will be there. So those kind of things. So I think there is but when I travel alone, right, totally different. Give me like the most technology thing that you can give me, because I'm all on it. I want to experience the new things. So I think there is still place for both. The mode automation and technology side of the industry will be also, I think, as you mentioned, it's really low. There's really low adoption. Another factor, I guess, it's a hard industry because it's a car. It's in movement. You can be stolen. It can be damaged. There's a lot of things happening with the actual value of the business, right? Of your assets. So there is mistrust yet on this AI really will charge the damage. Is this verification, insurance verification, really save me if the car hit the wall or those kind of things? So I think, as you mentioned, like the key thing I think is the trust in the tools, and sometimes depending on the location, obviously the price. We operate in several really different markets, right? We are in 40 countries, so we understand what's happening in Middle East, we understand South America, and we understand the United States, and it's just all different. It's like I really know things that will never happen in South America, at least for the next 20 years. And hey, in America is working fine, and there are big companies doing it, a lot of money going into those businesses. But again, I think it's a balance of the place, the trust, and those kind of things.
The time, the place, the people, as always, the
Yeah, yeah.
formal. But maybe the next question would be, in what ways, for example, Rently does use this, let's say, market trend and, let's say, watching the market changes and customer behavior? How do you align your technology development roadmap? What are the, let's say, new things maybe that are on the roadmap that I am even not aware? We are deeply now into this AI pricing thing that I really support, and I wish to trust the technology in this aspect, because I personally believe that technology can do better job than humans in forecasting and setting up the rates. And we recently had a great discussion with Emmanuel as well from Yield regarding this thing, and there was even a big forum in Berlin. So what are your thoughts? What are the tools that would be next on the roadmap for Rently?
So for the actual roadmap, we have a couple of things that the market was talking for too many years, and I think it's starting to happen in some places. But basically, the skip the counter stuff. A lot of different technologies trying to achieve the same result, and the problem is we keep seeing the same tools out there. It's like, oh, the new thing in the blog is just the same as 2 years ago, with a nicer logo or something like that, right? Which make it like, okay, the market is starting to adapt to these new tools, but it's just the same that we were doing like 2 years ago. So we are trying again, like, to push it a little bit forward, trying to see if we have another angle, like a nicer approach to that. But as you mentioned, our big thing right now, where we are doing a lot of effort, and we have this discussion with you and other guys on the business, right, on AI pricing, but not just. So obviously we have really good partners that help us in like Great Highway, right, to understand competition. But that's just one input if you want to see the whole picture, right? You want inputs like, hey, how is if my rental car business is about tourism, how many planes are coming to the city this week, right? Is there any like big event in the city? What's happening with hotels? What's the price of the hotels versus other time frames? What's happening? So I live in Argentina. You already know our market is just totally crazy right now. I mean, for the last 10 years was crazy, right? So what's happening with the currency in the country, right? Is the country expensive right now for foreigners, or it's really cheap? Like in Argentina in the last 3 months, right? Since this December, like everything is double for foreigners. So having a coffee here right now, it's the same that Paris. So, okay, big rental cars businesses are just freaking out because, hey, we were like in 100% occupation. Our prices were double, and we continue having 100% occupation. And now from one day to the other, it's like, oh shit, we are in 50% price, 50% occupation. How do we manage that? So again, it's like the input for the pricing. It's really hard in the sense that you need to have a lot of inputs. It's not just the tourism data or the competition data or your own data, right? About how it went last year, or do I have to buy like the 500 cars that I buy last year in this season, things like that. So I think the exciting thing that we are working on today is that we have a couple of guys on AI that they just completed their master, and so they are really excited, and we are really excited to make that happen. But sometimes in different countries, it's really hard to get that data, the input data, to clean it up and to have a really good result on that.
Yep. So you actually answered my next question, because I was
Sorry.
I was willing to hear about how Rently leverages the data, but that's great that we covered this topic as well, because I think that's really important that Rently makes these informed decisions and actually creates the tool that allows business owners to make these informed decisions, because I think that the winner is the one who analyzes the data and actually makes, let's say, appropriate decision based on this data, not just by guessing or intuition. Although, of course, some business owners have perfect intuition, and that helps them a lot in business. But on average, I think trusting data, trusting analytics is more realistic, let's say, way to success. And
and as you mentioned, you just said something that fires something in my head. Man, I know owners that run their business for 25 years on Excel, and they eat the market. So it's crazy, but they already know that they can't compete with the technology right now, and do it forever. Like,
I personally, I'm really, let's say, a pessimist for the legacy type of approach, and I personally believe that the switch is going to be quick, and it's going to be really. I always keep saying that example, like Nokia and Ericsson, who suddenly disappeared in one click when iPhone appeared, and everybody was laughing that nobody's going to use it. But this change came so quickly that these guys who were leaders of the market, they couldn't even have enough time to adjust themselves. They just disappeared from the market, and now we don't hear about them anymore. So, what are the innovative technologies that we are currently, seeing on the market, and that Rently's maybe currently exploring or planning to implement in addition to what's in the core business? So you mentioned AI pricing. Would these be maybe some self-verification tools and some skip the counter, or these keyless pickups and all these digital rental tools? Would this be something that we can expect as next coming on Rently side?
Yeah, actually, we are working on several of those that you just mentioned in parallel.
Okay.
And also, a lot of them we are trying to partner with the right company, with the right tool, or with the right service, right? And some of them we are just building from scratch in-house, right? One thing that we are pushing from within the company is the AI damage verification tool. For example, because we have everything in place, right? We already have the mobile applications to do the journey of delivering and returning the car, with taking the pictures, entering the right data that needs in both points of the rental. So it's like we are really close to have something that can create and push everything like in Rently, right? To create the services needed, to create the invoicing, or what's the damage, what type of damage, those kind of things. So that's one that really excites me because it's full in-house. So as a technologist, developer, and entrepreneur, it's like when we do everything in-house, it's where I'm most excited about a feature. When we have to do connections and do things with partners, I love the interaction because it opens your head, right? There's somebody looking at a problem, a specific problem, and they understand really well that problem. So you start to gain insight, right? So it excites me because you understand new things, you have more guys working with you, talking with you about the industry problems, but I like to go my head like in deep down on solving these hard problems with the team here in Friendly.
Yep. But I fully agree with you because I think that sometimes inventing a bicycle that is already invented a long time ago
Yeah,
doesn't make any let's
in a
say
sense.
any sense exactly. And
Yeah,
I think that by partnering with somebody else, and in that aspect, I keep saying that when systems like Rently have this open API environment, when
yeah,
actually the connectivity is pretty easy, I think that gives much more opportunities to the system and to the, let's say, whole microsystem, let's call it,
yeah.
or the whole environment. And
And as you mentioned, that was always our approach. Yeah, open API, try to connect as many partners that are out there that wants to work with us.
And probably again, we answered actually my next question, which was related to how do we how do Rently employ and remain flexible in this adaptive, changing environment. And I think you just answered that basically by setting up some of the tasks on the in-house roadmap and developing
Yeah.
it and connecting to some of the new tools that are created by some partners. And I think that's probably the most efficient and fastest way to go for. And at the same time, what are the strategies that Rently employed to balance, let's say, this cutting edge technology with personalized customer service on the front end? So, what are the
Mhm.
unique and competitive maybe advantages in the car rental market?
Um, well, I guess that so one thing that I personally think that Catriel and the customer success team does really well is this customization or custom experience, right, for each customer. So we put a lot of effort on having tools to allow the customer to create their own journey, right, in the tool, to have always somebody in. We have an in-app chat with our support team, so they can have like a personal experience. And again, this goes with the AI stuff, right? Hey, I don't want to ask to AI. Like the operators, when they ask help, is because it's something urgent, right? You have the customer there, or something is happening that you can solve by yourself, and you don't need an AI to like give you all the way around in like 30 minutes in order to came up with the answer. So we understand that, and we give a really good and personalized support to our customers, which is, again, it's like, it's no technology, it's chat, right? It's something invented like 30 years ago or 40 years ago, but it keeps solving problems. It's, hey, I have somebody here that will solve my problem. And the whole thing, I mean, obviously there is technology. When you chat, we have the AI like saying, oh, this question may be related with these 3 articles, do you want to share those? But again, it's just a tool for the inner support team, right? So they will be there, they will try to respond, and they will almost always, it ends up with, read this article, you will solve your problem reading this small article about this feature, right? But again, you have that contact, you have that touch with a real person, and it's like that balance between cutting edge technology, that phrase that you love,
Yeah, yeah.
and just basic stuff like person talking to a person to solve a problem.
That's funny that you
Um,
mentioned that because I just recently had a case myself when I was using one of the modern AI based tools for online email communication. And actually, it was exactly the same example when I was constantly pushed to use some online articles, some digital links to YouTube, to some video scripts and etc. And I had just some basic questions that I couldn't find the answers to, so I couldn't use the system. I couldn't utilize it, and there was no one else to help me because the system didn't actually consider any human assistance. So everything was
Interaction
digitalized.
in the
And
way.
this
Yeah,
interaction
yeah.
was something that I was lacking, even though I'm a complete digital freak myself. I was searching for that human being to be on the other side to help me out in this case, and I didn't find it. So
Yeah,
for me, this tool kind of now has limited functionality because I couldn't get this explanation. But
totally agree.
we can probably talk forever about these topics. But to round up the story, because I probably some of our listeners can get bored from two technology guys talking a lot of insights about the future trends. The last but not least question that I wanted to ask you is related to this kind of cybersecurity issue, because a lot of times I'm getting questioned by people who maybe are not that advanced, and what worries them with all this AI and with all these API integrations and with all this data sourcing from cars back to, let's say, customers,
Yeah.
rental management systems, and etc. How does Rently try to solve this cybersecurity issue? How do you keep the data control? Are you really up to these modern standards? Let's say it this way.
Yeah, for sure. So we have various initiatives on the cybersecurity, right? First of all, we use Azure Cloud, and we use a lot of their technology in order to control the data access. So Azure has a lot of services, and we use them all in order to make sure that the data is secure. But there is another aspect of that data security, and as you may know, right, it's actually easier to hack a human than a computer. So most of the cases comes from social engineering, right? I will just grab your password from you. You will make the mistake of telling me your password or something around that, right? So we have a couple of tools that will alert and block users and block access when something seems strange. Like the normal stuff, like, hey, this user accessing from another country, that's strange, or this country is not allowed for this rental car company, why some user it's the owner, or it's that role allowed to log in from several places from different hours, things like that. Well, just the normal email that you receive from Google. Hey, somebody access your account from Russia. Is that okay? Yeah, yeah, it's me. Things like that. But then,
So it's more predictive kind of care.
yeah, 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 it's like behavioral
Predictive
analysis
behavior. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The most complicated is the APIs, right? Because hey, you are trusting the access to a third party, and basically, depending on the permissions, they can get all the data, right? Not all the data, but a lot of the data will be able to be accessed. So we have a couple of ideas there. It's hard to explain because it's really deep into technology about tokens and what's happening, and what amount of data in milliseconds it's getting from one API to the other, and machine to machine talking, right? It's everything's happening super fast, and it's hard to keep up, right, with hackers in that sense. Because they always have, like, it's a really different head, the guy building something, that the guy breaking into something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So and you rely a lot on consulting firms, right? They have these white hackers that again, it's kind of the same, but I don't know if it's really the same. And you rely on this kind of penetration test and things like the market standard, right? But we are trying new things. To be honest, it's not something that, I mean, when you are PCI compliance and you have a lot of these things on, the hacker will lose kind of
Patience.
the interest of,
Interest.
yeah, or the interest on your data, because hey, why I'm going to break this database? There is no credit cards, right? That's stupid. There's nothing that I can gain control or gain money from this. So what you try to do is make yourself less target of these guys, basically, by, hey, our credit cards will managed by Global Payments, right? Or by this partner that it's our payment provider. So, okay, you just push all the risk to a bigger player, or to a player that it's have more knowledge about what's happening with the credit cards than you, right?
Encrypting
And the
data
same,
and
and
saving it.
yeah, obviously, everything is encrypted, but again, from the API perspective, it's not encrypted because you are giving the data in that moment, right? But yeah, I mean, a lot of initiatives. I think the most important is this, right? Making yourself less important for the bad guys, because you are telling to the whole world, I don't have the data that you may make money from it, right? Or things like that.
Sure. Makes sense. Makes absolute sense. Anyway, I'm pretty sure you have a busy Friday afternoon, so a lot of things still to do. That's why I'll leave you alone for now. But I really appreciate your time and your stories. I hope that our listeners will love the information that you shared with us. So have a great afternoon, and I hope to see you soon. We never know where it's going to be, either in Europe or back in Argentina. So let's make the arrangements.
Lo-
Let's see
yeah,
each other
London
more
for
often.
sure.
London for sure.
London for sure, man.
All
So
right.
thank you for having me again, and call me whenever you want. I'm enjoying these talks.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Guido. Thank you for your time.
You too. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.